What did I miss? All right. So Drake, last year was not a good year for Drake. Wasn't a good year from Drake. Seemed like everyone, all of his peers in the music industry, was throwing jabs and left hooks at Drake, diss records, disassociation from Drake, and a lot of things. And the beef between him and Kendrick, it was more deeper to me than dissing one another. I think this goes beyond dissing. I think this is a little bit deeper, a little personal. Um, and Drake, I'm not going to talk about a lot of things Drake has done, and the reasons why people have issues with Drake. But it has been a good year for Drake. Um, they're not like us. The Kendrick diss, that was the nail in the coffin for Drake. Then Drake did, instead of just bowing out gracefully, he didn't handle that very well. And instead of just bowing out gracefully and moving on to something else, because I feel like Drake is big enough to where even if he would have lost, which he did lost to Kendrick, and I've been telling you guys he was going to lose against Kendrick, you would think Drake got another, is so large, even though he loses a diss battle with Kendrick, the people out there would say, look, Drake is not Drake is he's not one of those type of artists. He's not a hardcore rapper. Okay, he's not a rapper that's known for dissing other rappers. Now he did have a diss song with Meek Mills. To me, Drake is not like The Game. Drake is not like Tupac. Drake is not like Jay-Z or Nas. Drake is an international pop superstar. And I felt like Drake would have been big enough if he would have just took his L from Kendrick and moved on to the next phase of his music career. But that wasn't good enough for Drake. Drake didn't want to admit publicly that he lost to Kendrick. And then what made matters even worse, he's suing his label company, UMG, unfair practices, the botting out accusations that he put towards Kendrick. It seemed like Drake came off like a spoiled little girl, in my humble estimation about it. Instead of just taking his L, look, you can't win them all. And I said, before we got the introduction between Drake versus Kendrick, I was first to tell you guys, I said, look, I don't think Drake's going to win against Kendrick because Drake is a better rapper, a better lyricist than Drake. And I kept telling you guys, even if Drake would have won this, it wouldn't make Drake any bigger because Drake was already bigger. And if he would have lost, which he did, if he would have just swept it under the rug, it would have went away. But, Kendrick and his team, his marketing team, the song was a huge hit on Spotify. It was, breaking records. And then last 4th of July, he introduced the album. The video to They're Not Like Us. And then we got word later on that he was going to be featured in the Super Bowl. He did the Super Bowl halftime show. He did the Grammys. He won Grammys. He's still getting, he's getting a lot of well-deserved credit from him being a lyricist. He brought back hip hop, battling, the competition of hip hop, because before They're Not Like Us, before Kendrick and Drake dissed one another, hip hop it was in a decent place. You know, you had a whole lot of collaborations with other artists. I felt like hip hop was lovey dovey. There was no competition there. And out of all the other music uh, categories out there, hip hop is the one category where competition is good. It's good to have competition with your fellow artists. It is good to make a diss record about an artist who's hot right now, or is the number one artist in hip hop, which, you know, Drake had a huge bullseye. Not to mention the fact that Drake, you know, have been cash apping different rappers' girlfriends and ex-wives and baby mamas and even wives. You know, that, you know, I felt like that that pretty much when Drake was going through all this and people was wondering, well, where is all the Drake supporters out there who have done work with Drake? Why have no one came out there in defense of Drake, you know, other than the Game? And the Game at this stage isn't the same Game when he was in his prime. You know, 50 Cent, you know, showed some type of love to Drake. But 50 Cent is not in the music industry like he was when he was in his prime. You know, Jay-Z really didn't say too much about it. Kanye took a couple of shots. But there was nobody out there in the hip hop world that was very supportive towards Drake. And that can go one or two ways. Either Drake ruffled some feathers with a lot of his peers, or people thought, just like I thought, Drake was not going to win this battle with Kendrick. Kendrick he's on another level when it comes to lyricism. He's just on another level. And to me, you know, to me, Drake, you know, antagonizing this, it wouldn't have made Drake any larger. It wouldn't have made Drake any bigger. It wouldn't have made Drake any richer. Win, lose, or draw. If anything, he was going to lose more than gain. And that's what I pretty much said in my videos. I pretty much said it in the live stream. If I was Drake, I wouldn't have said nothing. I would just let them, you know, say what they want to say. Keep it pushing, keep it moving, because, you know, keep the machine going. Because you interjecting yourself into this, you're not going to gain anything from it. If anybody's going to gain anything from it, it would have been Kendrick. It would have been Rick Ross. It would have been Metro Boomin. It would have been Future. It would have been the Clips. It would have been Pusha T. It would have, you inciting this would benefit them more than you. But hey, you know, that's Drake. If he wants to do that, that's fine. All right. So Drake lost. He's still in court with UMG. And, you know, Drake publicly, the court of public opinion. Now, we're not talking about Drake stands. We're not talking about Drake fans out there. But the court of public opinion, a lot of people are not feeling Drake with the tactics he's using. You know, if you can't beat him, sue him. That's pretty much what Drake is doing. If I can't beat him on the Billboard chart, if my team of writers can't make a song that can top They're Not Like Us, then let's take them to court. Now, to be fair, I know people are going to be saying in the comment section, well, what about Kendrick? Kendrick calling him an A minor, you know, that's hurtful and it's not true. And even though I can agree with you, you can at least also agree with me when Drake released this song, he didn't say any kind words about Kendrick's fiance I mean, his wife. He, in one of his rap songs, I think it was "Family Matters," Drake alluded to uh, the child being someone else other than Kendrick. And, he says not some kind words to his wife. So it's like tit for tat. Okay. But the A minor bar, I can understand why Drake is infuriated about that, particularly with the stories that are allegedly, these stories coming out that Drake messing around with younger girls. I can understand why Drake will be infuriated with that. But I felt like Drake's inner circle didn't give Drake the right guidance. Instead of, trying to go ahead and trying to go tit for tat for Kendrick, someone in his inner circle should have took him to the side and say, Drake, you really don't have nothing to prove. I mean, you're at a place where a lot of these rappers want to be. You're shaking hands and talking and going into rooms where these other rappers want to go to. How is antagonizing Kendrick benefiting your brand or benefiting you, even financially? How is this benefiting us? If anything, it's benefiting him. But, I don't know if Drake has an inner circle that actually cares about Drake, or does Drake have an inner circle and it's hard to talk to Drake because he's on this ego wild mind trip, whatever. But anyway, that's pretty much the backstory of where we are today. So Drake released this song called "What Did I Miss?" And he launched it on the day of the anniversary of They're Not Like Us. If y'all don't think that is, there's no coincidence in that. And I noticed Drake for the past couple, ever since February, it seemed like Drake is copying and pasting what Kendrick did to him. When Drake released Nokia, he had some hidden messages throughout the video. He also had hidden messages into the lyrics. Okay. He was wearing clothes that had hidden messages and hidden meanings and things of that nature. And if you can't beat them, join them. We're in a copy and paste society. And I'm pretty sure someone on Drake's team pretty much, or maybe Drake came to this point. Wow, if that worked for Kendrick, that should work for me, right? So when he came out with Nokia, I had a feeling he was going to take this approach. And then my speculations about Drake increased when he started going to these streamers' live streams, like Aiden Ross and others. So Drake is pretty much trying to wipe the slate and start off anew, but borrow things that was successful with other artists. Like the Kendrick, the Nokia, the meanings and things like that. So when I heard that he's coming out with a new song, I knew he was going to take this approach, because he took this approach earlier in the year. So what did I miss? If you haven't heard the song, it's a catchy song. It's a catchy song. It's a typical Drake song, if you want to say that. It's a typical Drake song. It has cadences in it. It has vocals in it. It has some bars in it. And it has hidden messages and hidden meanings to it. There's one lyric that he's referring to LeBron James, how LeBron James betrayed him. I kind of wish Drake let that go. because, and I felt like this is just a typical song that Drake has been pretty much been on this train of talking about how he thought he had friends in the industry, but now he finds out he doesn't have friends in the industry. He thought he had people that cared about him in the industry, but now he finds out that people in the industry don't really give two rat tails about him. I felt like that approach, you tried that earlier in the year and it didn't work very well. Um, there was a song that he didn't release that I thought had a catchy hook, had lyrics and things of that nature, and it came off as "Oh, woe is me." You know, I thought these people that I surrounded myself with cared about me, but they don't care about me. I found out that I felt like that approach. You tried that earlier. No one wasn't buying that approach. So now you're infusing this approach with this new song. Like I said, it has a catchy hook, got catchy cadences. It's not heavily barred. It's a typical Drake song, has some vocals and Drake vocals and things of that nature. But to me, I felt like this was the wrong song to start off your camp, what you're trying to do, your statement, or what you're trying to say to the world, because this was typical what you did earlier in the year. No one wasn't buying it, so it seemed like you put what you was trying to sell earlier in the year, put it on layaway, and then now you're trying to do it in the summer on the eve of the video, the official video of "They're Not Like Us." All right. The song itself, like it, like I said, the first, the beginning of the song is just catchy hooks, beats, typical Drake, nonchalant. When Drake is in his bag, that's what you get in the beginning of the song. Closer to the end of the song, the beat switches up. The tone gets a little, not playful, kind of serious. He does associated word play. He's still kind of in his bag about how people did him wrong and did him dirty. He start mentioning things that what people did. So it's one of those revenge type songs. And I saw the video, I saw the song, and I said to myself, it's a typical Drake song, but when you compare What Did I Miss to other projects of Drake's, What Did I Miss is not even hot enough than what Drake had previously put out. I heard that Drake wrote all his lyrics to this. I don't know if it's true or not. The video, he's dancing in it. He's got associated wordplay throughout the video, similar to what Kendrick Lamar did last year. But overall, I feel like Drake stans will keep it charting on Spotify, but then it's going to go away. Now, word around the campfire is saying that Drake is coming out with a new album called Iceman, and it's going to be released this up and coming weekend. It's going to release the same time when the Clips release their album, and I think the Clips album is this Friday. And there's word around campfire that Drake is going to release his album alongside the Clips. If that is true, and I don't know Drake from Adam, I feel like Drake should release this album a little bit later, because the Clips are going to do typical Clips numbers. I feel like hardcore fanatic hip hop fans are still going to get the Clips album, and if Drake's album it'll just be one great Friday through the weekend, you listen to the clips. Then when you don't listen to the clips, you listen to Drake. I feel like Drake's rollout should be, you know, I think it should be on a month where nothing is being released, or if something's being released, people are not going to pay attention to it. And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get his album out alongside the clips, because there's word around the campfire is that Kendrick did a feature on this Clips album. I feel like this is the wrong approach that Drake should be doing. But hey, you know, again, Drake is an international superstar. Drake's going to do what he wants to do. Now, I will say this. A lot of people are not giving Drake. I feel like a lot of people are not giving fair criticism to Drake, positive or negative. And allow your boy to explain. I feel like when you deal, there's a like artists, when they come out with their projects, you start to notice that their projects are growing with them. Their projects are maturing with them. You know, probably in the beginning when they were young, they were talking about, you know, kissing a high school girl, going to the prom and things of that nature. Now they're in college. Now their next album is what their experiences are in college. And then when they're out in the world as a young adult, that project is about being the move that you're making as a young adult. And then when you get older, you know, now you're talking about something different. And this happens to all artists of all walks of life. Nas, we look at Nas' catalog. If you listen to Nas's first album, it's different from the album he put out, you know, 4 albums ago. When you look at Jay-Z, Jay-Z's album matured with time. You know, when Jay-Z was young, he was talking about banging the females and kicking them out, and going to the club and all that stuff. You know, wearing the chains and wearing the football jerseys and the caps and driving the different whips. You listen to Jay-Z now, he's more mature. He talks from experience. His whole bag changed. As he grows older, his lyrics evolve into his maturity. When you listen to Drake, what Drake was talking about in his first album, he's pretty much talking about in his previous album. It's just there's no structure of maturity from none of Drake's projects. And I feel like it's time for Drake to just grow old with the times, man. You're not 20. You're not 20. You don't want to be the old man in the club, still going to the club, and you still trying to get at 20-year-old girls or 22-year-old girls. Nothing wrong with, you know, dating a woman that's half your age. Ain't nothing wrong with a 40-year-old man dating a 22-year-old woman. But what I am saying is it's time for you to put some thought, be more conscious, and your lyrics grow with your maturity. And I feel like it's a two-parter why that's not happening. One, I don't feel like Drake is ready to let that go. Now, you know, like it or not, love it or hate it, everyone grows older. And you can either, you know, go along with it, there's nothing you can do about it, or you're going to be kicking and screaming, you know, pulling and clawing, but eventually you're older. You're in the old lane now. And 2, I think another reason why Drake's lyrics haven't matured is because Drake doesn't really necessarily write his own rhymes, his own lyrics. He doesn't write from his experience. He's got a team. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having someone writing your own lyrics, but I feel like if you're going to continue to allow people to write your own lyrics, at least you should find some people that are your age and can write lyrics that fit with you. So the kitty bop lyrics and you know, you know, I just feel like Drake needs to graduate to another level of life. You know, smashing girls. I mean, nothing. Just it's cool smashing girls. It's cool buying different things with your money. It's cool buying the jewelry. It's cool saying that you've been here, you've been there, this, that, and the third. You know, smash this guy's baby mama. You know, smash this guy's wife. It's cool to talk about all that stuff, but at a certain point of time, you have to say to yourself, okay, we done been there and done that. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about your development and growth. You know, your from a boy to a man, and we haven't gotten that from Drake yet. I thought the last album, For All My Dogs, I thought we was going to get that from Drake, and you kind of heard it on different songs, but you didn't fully hear it throughout the whole project. And to me, I felt like that was Drake's worst album, not because of there was no maturity in the album. I just felt like it was just another recreation of projects that we done heard previously from Drake, but this one was the worst project. Like Take Care. I think Take Care is a classic album from Drake. And I felt like For Your Dogs was trying to reproduce the magic from Take Care. That's what I'm talking about. Drake, we've been there and done that. It's time for you to do something different. And hopefully we get it with Iceman. But if what did I miss is the example of what we're going to get, then nothing really has changed. People are going to still download this album. It's still going to make records. It's still going to generate some hits. But then at the same time, you know, you're not growing from one stage to the next stage. You're pretty much staying in one stage. And that's why the Kendricks of the world, the Joey Badasses, they're just on a different level from Drake. They're they're more conscious rappers. They're more mature type rappers, and they're growing with the time. They're not trying to stay. They're not trying to stay in the same lane they were staying like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. They're evolving, and Drake is not evolving. But like I said, I listened to What Did I Miss? And it's a typical Drake song. I'm not saying that I hated it. I'm not saying that it's trash. But what I am saying is, you know, it's a typical Drake. It didn't excite me because I have heard this similar type song from Drake before. So yeah, that's all I got on Drake. Guys, comment in the comment section. Tell me